thank you all for taking the time today to be here. At the time when we had the idea for this community call, this is our third community call, by the way, that the Chamber's put out. So it's our way of keeping the conversation going, connecting you with the right resources, and hearing from our leadership from the city, and hopefully trying to make some sense out of all of these changes that are happening daily. And I just know that a lot has gone on and it's been very challenging, but I'm hoping that we can focus on the next steps for our businesses. And so we've brought forward Alicia Velasco from the City of Lomita, our Community and Development Director, as well as Ryan Smoot, our City Manager, as well as Larry Johnson from the Small Business Development Center at El Camino College. And obviously we all want to hear from you as well. So we're going to make it a little more interactive and we'll open it up to questions. But what I'd like you guys to be thinking about right now, as I recognize some of the people on this call and get things kicked off, is we'd like to know what your biggest challenge of reopening your business will be. As these phase-ins occur over time, whether you're able to do that now, what is the biggest challenge? So we'd appreciate you putting any of your questions in the chat so we can capture them and make sure that our guests here speaking today can address those. Does that sound good? Nodding heads? Yes? Awesome. Okay, thank you. This call is being recorded, and I also because we want to take these calls and play the recap for other people who may not have been able to be on the call today, because we think these are really helpful and resourceful for our other business members in the community. I also wanted to know that if you have a question that you don't want to put publicly in the chat, you can send it to me privately and I can ask the question anonymously. So just keep that in mind. All right, I just want to recognize a few people who I think are on the call, if I can do my romper room Brady Bunch session. And I know that some of our founding members signed up to be on this call. South Bay Credit Union. I know Pacern Group is here, the Family Foundation is here, and for those who don't know, Pacern Family Foundation has generously donated 2,000 masks to the City of Lomita. So those are available to those in the community who need them. We can share with you the best way to get those masks should you have that need. Workman Kemp Real Estate, another one of our founding members, on the call as well, and several of our ambassadors and Health and Wellness Committee members. So thank you all for being here. And at the end, we have a special guest from the U.S. Postal Service, Angelo, and we know that the Lomita Post Office has the best Yelp ratings. So we're going to give them a few minutes at the end just to say a couple words, because they wanted to connect with our business community. So there may be other resources and things that they'll be offering as well today. So with that, again, please share your biggest challenge of reopening your business, and we will do our best to get those questions answered. So what I'd like to do now is transition over to our first guest speaker, Larry Johnson. He's the program lead advisor at the Small Business Development Center at El Camino College, and he's going to share some of the best practices and resources that are available through the SBDC to help our businesses get back to being open. And as we all know, each of our businesses require a unique plan, and best practice is a plan of action. So with that, again, let's keep those questions coming in. For me, I'm going to throw a question out to Larry right now. One of the things that we have a challenge with, we have a co-working space, and we have to figure out how to keep people 6 feet apart, and buying sneeze guards, the lines of how much PPE do we have to offer people if they don't come in with their own masks. And the thing in the back of my head with all this too is any liabilities attached to what we do or don't do. So should we have documented policies? Should we be putting that out to our public? Should we be marketing that? And those are kind of the questions that I have in my head, just to get some dialogue going. So if you could unmute yourself, Larry, then you can have the floor.
Okay, I think it's going to be important to have a documented policy, to really think out before you open your doors. Once you are given the high sign, you really got to think out, how will this operate and what are the risks, right? Certainly there's overall concern that's recognized by our leaders, both on the state and local level and also on the federal level, that liability is a concern, especially on opening, and I think that's still open. That hasn't been resolved. It's been recognized, and the folks in our legislative leadership are discussing it and discussing relief to business owners. But that it has not been resolved as to when that starts, if it starts, who bears the responsibility, and where does that begin and where does that end? Because it truly is a complex issue. So, as in anything, though, as a business owner, you are at risk for lots of issues, slip and fall incidents, not the least of concern. So, you should evaluate what are the ways that people could be hurt or harmed if they're in your establishment. There should be a process for, and it's really a practical process, and then it's a process where you have to deal with the perception of your clientele, because perception is indeed reality. And so the key to you generating revenues from your business, regardless of whatever business it's going to be being able to attract people to come back, and safety is going to be a paramount concern of everyone. So, what are the ways that I can ensure my clientele that they will be safe? And so, by doing a thorough analysis and identifying the issues that are going to be concerned and the mitigants that you've identified that will make them safe, and then communicating that in an effective manner to let them know that, hey, you've got their best interests at heart, and these are the things that we've put in place to make you comfortable. We take a look at certainly some of the larger retail establishments, or you walk up and you see that they are sanitizing the grocery carts, and at many places they're even passing out face masks if you don't have your own, rather than just telling you to go away. They are also at Costco, for example. They also offer, not only they sanitize your cart, but they offer you an additional sanitation sheet or a sanitation gel that you can put on your hands. At doctors' offices, and they take your temperature before they allow you into the waiting room. And so these are the things that we need to consider. I was contacted by the barber I use, and he was letting me know the procedures that he is putting into place to assure me that he will be wearing gloves. He has a procedure pre my arrival and post my arrival, and he wants to make sure that I have a mask, and I will have my mask on during the entire time, and that he has disposable gear that he will be wearing to protect me and to protect himself. So that when I got that call, that made me, and it was a proactive call, that made me comfortable that when it's appropriate for me to go back to visit him, he's going to be prepared, and I can be comfortable to sit in the chair and have him cut my hair. So I think long answer to your question is some of the answers I don't have, but the other answer is you've got to be prepared to your satisfaction, but also to the satisfaction of your base clientele.
That's a big task.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally rethinking your whole business model, or adapting it, right? And that's kind of an overwhelming proposition, at least for me, because we're so working on the business, we're in the business, we're wearing all these hats as small business owners, right? And it just seems like having an unbiased outside third party, maybe looking at it with maybe that eye for legalities, and also comfort, peace of mind for your client base. It just seems like that's a necessary resource. It's overwhelming to me right now.
Well, it is, and one of the best ways to deal with overwhelming situations is not to try to handle it all at the same time. You've got to compartmentalize, or you'll go nuts. And so one of the important things to consider, as I tell many of my restaurants, it won't be the way it was immediately after they allow people to go back to restaurants. You got to deal with the fact that many people will be reluctant to dine with other folks. And so you've got to do things to coax, ensure, make comfortable those people. And so that's a communication activity, but there's also practical things that I can do in the interior of my space. But then there's also the reality that given the things that I have to use or do in my facility, limiting tables, spacing, my normal restaurant process won't create adequate returns, adequate sales to enable me to make the kinds of margins I need to make to pay my bills. So what does that mean? It means that you've got to look at the nature of your business differently. Are there other services I can offer? Are there products that I can offer that will enhance my bottom line? I've got a very good client of mine who has a restaurant, and after initially recovering from the shock of having to close, he said, okay, the nature of my business is going to change. I'm going to be on steroids, a takeout and a grab and go location. And he has replaced all of his in space dining with his grab and go and takeout business, even to the degree where he's now planning to acquire a little bodega next door to him and expand his takeout capability because he's got that much interest in reliability. Takeout is a very important component. People get tired of ordering pizza and Chinese food every night, and so they want alternatives, and they don't want to. They want to do something. They want to at least heat something themselves and or be creative, and having a facility that offers them variety. I met with a Thai restaurant yesterday, and they were concerned about what they could do. And I mentioned something that really sparked an idea in them. I said, well, aren't there some interesting, fabulous Thai beverages you can offer? And suddenly their creative juices started to flow. Beverages is another great way so it's really about sitting down, thinking freshly, working with us at the SBDC to help give you fresh ideas, or sitting with a group of other restaurateurs and tossing around ideas and concepts. Those are some of the things that I would think of.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I know we have Christine from Corridor Flow on the line, and then we've got Bruno and Dolly from Still Got It Fitness. I mean, and Nilda, she has a fencing studio that supports people with different sets of skills. And you know, these are all very physical, being in your space kinds of business models. And I think that's a fabulous idea to maybe the chamber can help orchestrate some of that, is get our restaurant community together to have some more good ideas or best practices, or share what somebody else has done that's been successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it could cross over between restaurant, coffee shop, and fitness studio. There might be some inspiration in those conversations and dialogue. So if that's something that anybody on this call is interested in doing, the chamber would be happy to lead that with our strong volunteer base. But it's definitely something that I think we kind of need to get things going. And this is the first dialogue in, I'm sure, a number of conversations to help our business community come back. Can you clarify for us, Larry? And I do have a question on the line that I'll address in just a minute. Can you clarify exactly which businesses are able to be open at this stage 2 right now that we're in?
You know, I don't have my list that the governor issued. I apologize for that. I should have been prepared with that. I don't have that
I
list.
didn't give you the heads up, so that's my bad. I'm sure we can find it during the meeting here. We do have a question. Okay, my unemployment benefits plus $600 bonus is keeping my staff home on top of their safety concerns and making it hard to bring them back. Any ideas on how to bring them back? Or
I think that people should recognize that every 2 weeks you must certify that you are willing and able to work. And when you refuse to take a job, you are not being truthful on the documentation you're providing to the government. And so, to the degree that you have a PPP loan, and that part of your requirement is to either rehire or hire new employees, so your head count is comparable or greater uh, two 2 months after you receive the funds. So you have a responsibility of either hiring new people if the old people won't come back. And certainly the SBA has also said that if you can document that you have uh, made a real offer to your employees, and also advise them that their benefits, unemployment benefits, are at risk if they refuse this offer, uh, then then the SBA will not penalize you. But you should also know, most importantly, that you have the ability to hire new people just because they won't come back.
Okay, I don't know if Bruno had a question. Maybe he's talking to somebody else. um, any other questions out there? I mean, we can kind of go a little off script. We were looking at some of the challenges that you all might have if you have a specific question. Do we have a question over there at Still Got It Fitness? No? That's okay. I guess where are things at, if we can pivot a little bit, with the SBA funding for the EIDL loan and then the PPP? What is sort of the takeaway point right now?
So the EIDL program is still active and accepting applications, but only for folks who are actively involved in the agricultural related fields. For all other businesses, EIDL is closed, although they are processing applications, and they're doing it pretty much on a first come, first served basis. I have clients who contact me daily letting me know that their EIDL loans have been approved, or that they've received money from the EIDL cash advance. So EIDL is proceeding, but not for most new applicants. PPP, there are ample funds available. They've gone through about half of the newly allocated amounts, but there's still when last I checked on Monday, there was slightly less than half of the funds still available for lending. And what we also discovered was that the funds were being restricted to people who were smaller borrowers, and so any borrower over 2 million, those borrowers were being highly investigated, and anyone, and you had to attest that there was substantial economic need, and you did not have meaningful options. So with that, really, and there's some concern as to what that really meant, the necessity issue and the definition of necessity, and having meaningful optional funding opportunities. What that really was clarified to suggest is that if you were a public company and you had access to the public debt markets and multiple lines of credit from major banks, and chances are you're not negatively impacted to the degree that you need to take advantage of the federal loan programs. And so they encourage those folks to repay that money, and gave them a deadline later, I think it's either today or tomorrow, that they had to repay that money. And that money is flowing back. It is coming back, and it is being loaned out again. As of Monday, the average loan amount was about $70-some thousand. And that there is still considerable funds being controlled by the small regional and local banks, and And that's good for small business because that means that those funds are going to be spread out over larger numbers of borrowers because those average loan amounts are going to be much smaller than what you might find at a big bank that's dealing with more significantly sized businesses.
Yeah. One of the questions we had was somebody had applied back in April, early April, and they have a confirmation number for her EIDL loan starting in 3. And there, I actually learned that the other day by calling the SBA directly. There is a difference. I guess the 2 was the first round way back in March, and then the 3s are the ones for those simplified process if you apply it. And of course, she hasn't heard anything, which is interesting. I mean, we've gone through the same thing ourselves with our businesses. And I finally heard back just today, and we applied back in late March, I think when everything started happening, applied again. And we just heard back today that it wasn't honored. What was interesting though, is they said, well, if you feel that, you know, you want to basically come back and reopen the case and prove that maybe you should receive the funding, here's what you can do, subject to funds available. I just don't want to do that because that's going to ping my credit again, right? So what would you advise in that case?
Oh, that shouldn't ping your credit again. They'll just take a look at the, did they give you reasons or did they just say
it was very generic?
Very generic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you have a specific loan officer that wrote the letter that you can appeal to?
They may have put their name on there. It just felt very generic. I could pull it up.
Okay.
But I mean, in terms, there's no, you know, going back to the question here, and, you know, haven't heard back yet. I don't know if you have a response to that. It's a long time.
Yes, you should always, well, it generally takes 4 to 6 weeks for a reply of some sort. So, but if you've applied and it's been 4 weeks and you haven't heard, I would call the customer service number, and that number is 800-659-2955. That's 800-659-2955, and they're open from 5 a.m. Pacific 5 a.m. Pacific time to 5 p.m. I've had luck calling after 4 p.m. Pacific time. So around 4:30 Pacific time, I've gotten right through. And I think that's a factor of the fact that most of the country has gone on to do other things with their evenings. It's 4 o'clock at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. So so you don't have the competition of calls coming from the most populated part of the country.
Yeah, and I had some success with that as well. I was 390 something in line, and I went, oh my gosh. And actually, the longest wait I've had has been maybe 45 minutes, which, you know, I think is pretty good considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
And that said, the challenge I'm having is I can't get a password reset request because their website is having issues all the time. And sometimes the representative is not able to open up the file because their website is down on their side. So the technology challenges with this whole flood has been very frustrating on both sides, to say the least, I think. But
yes,
just keep calling would be, you know, what we're doing just to get an answer, and just trying to be patient. So are there any other questions or anything out there that we can address? I mean, I want you guys to take advantage of this opportunity to get some guidance or to share. If anybody wants to share what they're doing or that they're open and kind of being responsible. I see Christine on the phone. If not, we can pivot and go another direction because we kind of wanted to hear what your challenges were so that we can help address them too. I know we've got the city of Lomita on the line as well. Was there anything else then, Larry, that you wanted to add as putting a pin in it since we don't have too many?
Well, I wanted to make everyone aware that at the SBDC, we've got a staff of people to help you with a variety of issues, from social media and communicating to your customer base. I think it's so important that everyone be aware, or all of your customers are aware, clients are aware, that you're still there and you're interested in serving them, and keeping that communication going back and forth is important because we don't want out of sight, out of mind to to come in and take over. So if you need ideas of what to say and how to say it, we've got consultants who can work with you. We're conducting all of our sessions through Zoom meeting. So you don't have to put yourself at risk. And we've got folks who are with legal backgrounds, with accounting backgrounds, marketing. So please call on us.
Thank you, Larry. If you wouldn't mind putting your contact information in the chat so people have it. And I just want to remind people that there's no cost for any of this, right, Larry?
That's right. No cost. Your tax dollars hard at work.
So utilize that. I will be making an appointment soon. It's not just the chamber that we're figuring out in this new normal, but the our workspace as well. So thank you, Larry, for that. And please don't hesitate to reach out, guys. We want you to get the best information you can. And thank you, Larry, again for being here. I know you've got to leave in a bit, but if you can hang out just for a little bit longer in case
Sure.
some questions come up. Thank you so much. And Alicia, if you want to unmute yourself. Alicia Velasco with the City of Lomita and Ryan Smoot are on the line to tell us their perspective. And I do see a question that might kind of dovetail nicely into what you guys may be covering with us here today is, do we know when phase 3 is opening? That's kind of a hard question to answer right now, but I thought I'd put it out there just in case you guys have any perspective on reopenings and phase 3. So please welcome City of Lomita. Thank you.
Hi guys, this is Ryan. That's a great question, and it's one, frankly, in our own operations we're monitoring pretty closely too. I wish I had a direct answer for you. Unfortunately, I don't. The best answer I can give you is that the county has indicated that generally they expect between stages, they expect somewhere around the 6 weeks between the stages. And there's a reason for that from the health department's perspective. It's because if the incubation period of the virus is around the 2-week mark, they need to be able to get data back after that 2 weeks to see what the spread looks like of the virus. And then gather that data, analyze it, and then make a decision how to go forward into the next stage or not. So that they've indicated that 6-week time frame is probably what we should be looking to expect, but that is they have given that with the caveat that that's an estimate and kind of best case scenarios. So I know that's not a super specific answer, but that's kind of the answer we're getting as well. I know that affects probably each and every single one of your businesses, because I imagine a lot of our businesses fall into that stage 3 category. Having said that, within stage 2 right now, they're calling it kind of oddly, they're kind of calling it phases within the stage. Mm-hmm. So they're in their phase 2 of stage 2, which was yesterday's announcement. And I expect that they'll kind of continue along that path. It won't just be dropping one big new change, and then that's it for the next 6 weeks. It'll be gradual changes within each stage. So I expect even in the stage 2, we'll probably see a little bit more of that. But they have made pretty clear in no uncertain terms that we should expect some level of restrictions to be in place for quite some time to come. So, and I don't think that means that the existing restrictions will be in place for months to come. I think it means some level of restrictions as they continue to modify them will be in place. And from the city's perspective specifically, we have been incredibly careful and cautious in how we have approached any restrictions that we put in place to not get ahead of the county and the health department. Frankly, we've taken no actions, or I should say very, very few actions ahead of the county's requirement to do so. And the reason for that is, frankly, I don't feel that as the city, we have the expertise to be making health-related decisions on behalf of our residents or our businesses. The health department is the appropriate place to do that. And on the same token, we don't want to be restricting our businesses or frankly our own operations any more than is absolutely necessary. So we've been very, very cautious about that and pointing people back to the county. We also have had a number of questions from businesses who have called us and said, hey, the health department is here telling me I can't be open, but I think I'm essential. And they're looking for some guidance for us to tell them that they can be open and that they are essential. We simply can't make that determination on behalf of a business. That is a determination for the health department and that individual business to make. And so we've had to go ahead and tell those businesses that that's the case. But I will say the health department and the sheriff's department have been very flexible with businesses to try to help them find a path forward. If they can make an argument that you can be open with these certain things in place, they've been very flexible in doing that. So that's been great to see. I think there's been a lot of understanding on their part, especially from the sheriff's department. So that's been really good to see. If you don't mind, I will just briefly give you a quick update on the existing circumstances in the city. I know we've talked a lot about some ways that the city may be able to financially help, and we're still working through some of those things with the county. And Alicia can maybe talk a little more about that, but I wanted to give you a quick update on the city's budget status as it stands for this current year and going into next fiscal year. On Tuesday evening, we had our budget workshop with our city council, and we walked them through the not so rosy picture of our budget for this year and the even less rosy picture for the city's budget for next year. The moral of the story, without boring you with boring details, is the city is looking at something to the tune in next year's budget, something to the tune of $750,000 in revenue that we otherwise were expecting that we won't be receiving. And beyond that, even some deferments that, I mean, I'm sure you all know the state of California has allowed businesses to defer sales tax payments and things, which certainly is a benefit to our local economy. And there's no arguing that. And obviously, it's a benefit to you all as well. What that means is that the revenue that comes to local agencies also then gets deferred, which eventually works out for us, but it presents cash flow problems that I'm sure you all can understand as well. So that's kind of where the city's at. The way that the council has directed us to sort of fill that hole is by pulling from some of the existing funds that we've put aside. Over the last few years, the council's been pretty good about putting money aside for specific project areas, for pension stabilization, and frankly, building up our reserves. And so their primary goal was to spend down some of those things as necessary to keep the wheels turning, because I think they recognize the emergency at hand. They have not directed us to, in fact, quite the opposite. They have not directed us to take any furloughs or layoffs for our employees. I think they have taken the stance that Lomita doesn't necessarily compete at the highest level from a compensation standpoint in the best of times, but in the worst of times, we do everything in our power to take care of our people and our teams. And they have stepped up and are spending as necessary to keep our wheels turning. What the future holds, I don't know the answer, because same as you guys, we're sort of trying to do some crystal balling to see our best guesses as to what the future holds, but we simply just don't know. So that's kind of our best guess at the moment. I know the council over the long term, you may have seen an article in the Daily Brief today about my budget message to the council and what the council may be looking at in the future. There's been some conversation about long-term local revenue for some of the programs that Lomita has been working on the past few years. And that conversation may come up again. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but I think it's indicative of the fact that the council is exploring, turning over every rock that they can to try to find some long-term local revenue source that we can use to support the programs we've been offering, like our economic development programs, like our street work, our water system improvements. So over the long term, we will probably be looking at any revenue option we probably can. So I will no doubt be having a lot of conversations with you all of what that might look like before we get there. And obviously, Heidi is pretty good about working closely with us. So we will make sure we get that information out to you guys, because we want to hear from you and how those things may or may not affect you all as well. So from the budget perspective, from my end, that's what I have for you. Unless you have, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. I'll let Alicia go into the economic development side of the world, if you don't mind.
Hi, yes. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box for Ryan, and I can read them to him. I do see a question in the chat box about the Great Plates program. I do not have an update on that currently. The city is not in a position to be the operator of that program, so we're hoping that LA County rolls out their program and allows us to participate. So that's pretty much the status of that. So we're waiting for whoever is going to run it. It's currently with the emergency operations team, but then it'll need to go over to like the Department of Social Services for their actual operation. Most likely that'll be the department. So we're just kind of waiting on that. This program, it kind of seemed like a lot of stuff was promised before the details were worked out. So now we're now we're working out the details on the back end. But unfortunately, it's just not something that the city is prepared to take on their own. So that's an update to that program. We are getting some promising news, though, from LA County Department of Economic Development. They're the ones who control our HUD funding. They're all working remotely, so it's taken just a long time to get information from them and find out what's approved, because everyone has to spend the money before it gets here from the federal government. So you can imagine, especially with funding, so with money so tight right now, that's a scary thing to do, to spend that and hope that the federal government reimburses you. But I think we've made some real progress, and hopefully I'll have a solid update on that for you guys at the next meeting, maybe in like 2 weeks. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is for our businesses that have actual physical locations, we've kind of developed an internal process here. If you need to spill out onto the sidewalk or onto the area in front of your business, that way you can keep the social distancing. So, our smaller restaurants here and coffee shops, if you need to expand onto the sidewalk, we have a administrative process for you guys to do that, also for retail. And it's something that we can handle internally and facilitate basically all through our online portal. So I know that was really good news, and we're going to start pushing that out to our business owners, that if they need to go out of their storefront, that way they can have social distancing, we can find ways to accommodate that. And that's the only update I have for now. Ryan, do you have anything else?
Nope. Not unless there's questions from you guys. We're happy to answer any questions you guys have from the city.
Mm-hmm.
Now's your chance, guys. While we've got them here, this is our opportunity. So don't be shy. You can privately chat to Alicia. And thank you, Ryan and Alicia, for always being on these calls. And I think, overly communicating over communicating, I should say, is important to do right now. Even though it's kind of, we're moving along and it's one big bite of the elephant at a time, right? So just thanks again for all of that. With that, if you guys don't have any other questions, then I'm going to, again, thank you to the City of Lomita for joining us. I'm going to hand it off. Angelo, are you there? I see you're muted and your video's gone, but Angelo is actually with the United States Postal Service, and he's part of their business development team. And I know he expressed an interest in just wanting to say a few words to you. So Angelo, if you want to unmute or put your video on, welcome to the group, and thanks for being here.
Here I am, Heidi. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, my name is Angelo Lombard-Williams. I work with the U.S. Postal Service. I'm part of our business development and marketing team that we have here. And we know that with every business in every community going through this crisis, you know, it's an evolution of sorts to go ahead and still find ways to stay viable, if not even continue to compete for business. So what we want to do here is just to make sure that we outreach to everyone in every business community, especially in cities like Lomita, that we do offer products and services that can help create and enhance the visibility that you guys may need, you know. So there's going to be changes made as we all speak about. I've been on a couple of other Zoom meetings with other chambers and their membership to speak about, you know, such products that we have here called Every Door Direct Mail. And people may think that this direct mail marketing product is just something that goes inside the homes of various residences or consumers, but it also is one by where it can be an enhanced tool that gives the consumer that you outreach to a prism into your business through various other tools that you could use, like QR codes and AR codes for augmented reality, VR for virtual reality as well. There's a number of things that each business could do to go ahead and give potential new consumers into your business as to what you are trying to let them know. And then when there are changes made to your business, as evidently there will be, or if not are with every business, you can inform them and everything. So communication is the key, as they mentioned earlier. Yes, we're a government entity, but you know what? We do provide that service. And as well, anybody that's out there shipping any products, we still want to make sure that every business is aware of the fact that, you know, we are the best bang for your dollar as far as the least expensive shipping provider that you're going to find out there in the business without assessing any surcharges or anything else that you would with any of our competitors, especially with the fact that usually most of them will use the Postal Service for the last mile of the delivery of their packages because we have direct access and a transportation line, logistics line to those residences. So with that said, what we plan to do is to have a Grow Your Business Day with our postmaster, Delbert Roca, with the city of Lomita in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to contact me directly, right, you know, in the immediate future at area code 323-586-1473. Again, my telephone number is 323-586-1473. If you'd like to gain more information or need some assistance in creating that visibility that everybody wants to get out, and if you need to help develop a shipping platform that's more streamlined and cost effective, you know, just reach out to me. But again, Heidi, I want to thank you for the time. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to take any right now, or feel free to call me back later.
Thank you so much, Angelo, and it's nice to see you again. Angelo popped by the chamber office one day and introduced himself, and we've been trying to work together. And I did put his contact information, as I did for the SBA customer service, in the chat. And I also just want to say, you know, Delbert's been just great to work with. I'm such a fan of Lomita Post Office. They've just been very helpful to us as a business. And as a commercial mail receiving agency, it's important to have that good relationship with the Postal Service. And thank God for all the people out there working and keeping that part of our community going. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions at this point. So what I'd like to do is there anybody who wants to say a few words just about their business in general? If you're open, anything else you want to share, I'm going to open it up to the group.
I just want to let you guys know that I am here, and there are so many amazing marketers in this group, and I just want to remind you guys to reach out to us to help you really put that local flair on your messaging as we all get back to this next step into normal. So that's it. That's all I wanted to remind everybody is I like to work with local businesses, and I know we all do, and that's why we're part of this chamber. So make sure you reach out to fellow chamber members to get that all sorted out and moving along for you. Just to be your first resource, because we're all in this together. And I know Heidi has a whole list of contact information for all of us.
Risa is a member of the chamber, so you're doing business with another member. And I just want to share a really quick story. Then I'm going to kick it over to Scott. Thanks so much, Risa, for being here. Just kind of an uplifting message. I know that Victor and Ken from the Pacern Family Foundation are also on the line, and it's been really great to be able to offer to our businesses and community referrals for masks. We also have referrals for hand sanitizer. One of our chamber members has a business, and they've pivoted their family business into producing that. So she's working really hard to get that out within our community. So we have those resources available, as well as cleaning, so sanitizing services for your space. So if anybody needs those referrals, please reach out to me directly and I can connect you. But Pacern generously gave those masks to the city. I connected South Bay baseball cards. They're not even a chamber member, but they needed the mask. I said, here are your options. You can ask for them for the city at no cost. He wanted them for his customers. I said, or you could buy them from a local business. That's another option. He chose to actually shop local and supported Home Health Depot down the street. So just a kind of a nice little uplifting story. The masks are going to be needed and used, but it was just kind of nice to hear a fellow business owner supporting. So I just want to say thanks again to Pacern for the generous donation. And we're working hard to spread that out there, I know, as the city is as well. So if you do need masks, just contact the chamber, and then we can work that out with the city to get those to you. Victor, did you want to say something? Yes, please unmute yourself.
I just wanted to say, both Ken Golden and I are here. Dr. Golden is the senior advisor for the foundation. In addition to the masks, one way that we're helping out in the immediate sense is that we have a program called Shelter in Place Face-to-Face, where we connect people with our network of artists for visual art, music, or writing lessons one-on-one through Zoom. We have a network of artists through the Artist Outreach Project that are contributing their time. And so these are opportunities for people to connect over the internet on Zoom or Skype or FaceTime to do arts lessons or brush up on a skill you already have. The whole idea behind that was to just combat some of the negative effects associated with, having to be isolated at home. So I just wanted to let people know about that. And we're just here to see if there's any way that the foundation can help as the city starts to open up and so on. Okay.
And those lessons are free.
Oh, but thanks for mentioning that, Ken. That's a good point.
That's great. And May is was it mental health awareness month, I believe, or mental health month, and we're all challenged by this, and including not only our family members but our children who are adapting to this. So we want to be checking in, and if there are other outlets like this great opportunity that Pacern Family Foundation is offering, take advantage. I did put a link in there to that program for you guys, so if you needed that. And then I think John Ballard asked for Victor's contact information. So Victor, if you're comfortable sharing that in the chat,
sure.
That would be great.
I'll put it in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Scott Fellows, you've been patiently waiting, sir. Yes. Unmute yourself, please.
Scott Fellows, I own and operate for 36 years, Critics' Choice Catering and Event Production. And our offices and kitchen and chefs and delivery people are all roaring and ready to go. We got an A+ from the health department last week, and we've been doing some business, but generally what we like to do is do weddings of 150, 200 people, do big open houses at all these public places, and provide entertainment, food, decorations, the whole 9 yards. And basically all that's been shut down. But we did a tremendous amount of stuff for Mother's Day, a lot of takeouts, and we did deliveries for 10, 20 people in their homes.
It's always good to see you. Thank you for being here. Congrats on 36
Thank you for
years,
having us.
and thanks for
great,
pivoting and
Heidi.
helping our community with those great meals. Anybody else? One thing I wanted to share with you as well is if you're on social media, let's share each other's events and activities going on. I know that Still Got It Fitness has a great, it feels like it's daily, but at least once a week, you guys have these great emails going out. You have these online Facebook Live workouts. that I see popping up. So when you see those things, let's support each other and let's share that to our social media family. That helps as well, because people are on social media a lot these days, probably more than they want to be because they're at home. So shout out to Still Got It Fitness and all the other businesses that are on here. If there's any way we can cross promote and share, that just makes our community that much stronger. So, all right. A 5-day Ditch the Sugar workshop in 2 weeks on Facebook. Okay. Nikki Marafino, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I think you are doing such a great job, Heidi. I just submitted my application for membership.
Oh, thank you so much, Mickey. That means a lot. Oh my gosh. I start to tear up every time I hear a new member coming in during this time, because it's just, it means a lot. Thank you so much. So much. And we're happy to have you. And I know you're going to contribute amazing things as a member. So thanks, Mickey. Your support means a lot. All right. Okay. Anybody else? Maria, go ahead and unmute yourself. And then we'll be wrapping up after that.
All right. Okay. I do want to become a member. I've been asking you to send me the application. I'm not in Lomita yet, but I by the way, Maria Cantoria, I'm with Pacific Sunrise and A Better Care for You. I take care of elders. We are one of those that's really been still ongoing in, with all this COVID. We still have to take care of our elders, and I have need of caregivers. I don't have an assisted living big institutional facility. We are more of a residential small 4 to 6 bed facility. So we take care of clients almost on one-on-one. I did have a breakout in one of my homes. I have 10 elderly homes all in South Bay and LA County areas. And I'm looking forward to have one in Lomita.
Awesome. We'd love to have you. Here's the link, but I'm going to email it to you after our call.
Okay, wonderful. So I do have vacancies right now. So if you know anybody who needs assistance and cannot live on their own, please call me. I've been in the business 30 years now.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll put your contact information in the chat so people have that resource available to them. And I've known Maria now, I think, for about a little over a year. And yeah, she works very hard, and she's in, I consider her and her team one of the frontliners as well, keeping our elderly community safe. And she really does a lot of great work in this world. So thanks for all you do, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, last chance. We're going to wrap it up. Keep it right on time. Oh, Dolly, unmute yourself, please.
It's actually going to be Bruno, but his speaker's not talking, so I'm giving him my computer.
Hi, Heidi.
Hey,
Thank you for doing this. This is great. Thank you. Hi, Jane. Yeah, for us, it's been, the gym fitness business, we've been shut down since day one. So it's been really tough. Like you said, we've been doing a lot of videos and things like that, but there's nothing like, one-on-one. So regarding the PPP, I'm still waiting. I'm at Wells Fargo, still waiting. I applied with 2 other banks, still waiting. So, it's been a challenge, but I got to tell you though, the last 10 days, 2 weeks, I've been receiving 3 or 4 or 5 calls a day from people saying that, their health is declining by just staying at home. And so, we're in the health business, and it's just so frustrating to not be able to help those people. So, right now it's like, I think everybody is struggling. All the businesses are struggling and trying to find the best way for us to remain positive. And so I just want to give a thumbs up to everybody. And then if anybody needs me or our service, we're here to support each other, and then that's going to be over hopefully very soon. So our business should be in level 2, not level 3, but that's another issue. Anyway, so you guys have a good day. It was good to see all of you, and then maybe we'll do that next week again. Thanks, Heidi.
Bruno, I'm glad you and Dolly made the time to be here. It's so good to see you. I've been missing you on these calls. And for those who don't know, we do have a health and wellness committee. And so, you know, I don't know if you saw the email today, Bruno, but hopefully we can get together like this with our committee members next week and maybe come up with some other ideas. I really feel strongly that there's a need to address the physical and other impacts that come along with this. And I don't know what the solution is, but certainly communicating, over communicating and giving people resources and letting people know what you're doing, I think is really important in addition to all the other things that might be out there. Maybe getting the word out in different ways. So good to see you guys. With that, I think we're going to wrap it up. And thanks to our founding members for being here and for all of you for participating. And thank you to those who are joining our organization and to Angelo from USPS. You all are valued and appreciated. And I just hope that you try to keep the spirits up. And if you need to call somebody, call. If you need a shoulder to cry on, we're all in this together. And we're here for you. So have a great rest of the day, you guys.